All right, today I'm going to tell you guys something that may piss off a lot of these quote unquote AI agency owners or these fucking software founders that everybody claims to be just because they know how to use ChatGPT or Claude. But 75% of the software that you're paying for as a business owner is complete bullshit. And it's literally just a wrapper of ChatGPT or Claude. The reality is once you start to take a look at these softwares and you start to play around with AI and actually research how to actually build these internally, you start to realize, damn, a lot of this stuff is a waste of money. And when you're spending $200 here, $200 there, $200 here on 10 different softwares, this shit starts to cut into your budget. And when reality is, you could just figure out how to build this stuff on your own, and it doesn't take a genius to do it anymore. Because the tech is so good, it's so easy to build. And here's the reality. Right now, I'm currently scaling 3 B2B businesses. My whole business is partnering up with companies that are growing right now, whether they're selling a software or a service to businesses, and I go ahead and do all the back-end operations. I am the operator. I am running the entire marketing infrastructure from the funnel build out to helping with paid ads to doing all this stuff to building out the entire sales team and doing all the training. The reality is I was a sales guy, but over the last 90 days, I have built almost every single tool internally that I use inside Claude. So we no longer spend, $150 here, $150 there. Instead of buying it or hiring a developer, I simply just went ahead and built all this stuff internally. And the reason why I give you this background is because I'm not anything special. I got a 19 on the ACT. I was extremely dumb in college. I got a 2.3 GPA. But the reality is I built some insane softwares for my team internally, and I didn't have to hire anyone to do it. I simply just did it myself, and I don't know how to actually code. But here's the reality of the subscription trap for most business owners. You take a stack of 20 tools at $80 to $300 a month, and you get told that you need all of this to compete. You need a tool for personalization, a tool for data, a tool for scheduling, a tool for marketing tools. And the reality is while you do need softwares to scale your business, especially to make things a lot easier, a lot of times this shit is bullshit and you can simply just build it internally. Like a lot of these softwares that you're currently using, you start to realize, damn, this shit really isn't that hard to build. And right now, if you're a business owner and you have no understanding of what to do in business, this is exactly how I got from no understanding of any of this AI stuff to actually building everything internally and almost becoming like an AI savant myself. So all you simply need to do is set aside 30 minutes every single day as a non-negotiable. But the most important thing is you don't want to just research. You need to actually put this shit in action. So many people that I talk to, they're just the biggest mental masturbators about AI as possible. Like, oh, bro, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And it's like, dude, your tools aren't doing anything. And the reality is unless you are actually putting this stuff to good use, it doesn't make any difference. You can research all of this shit. If you're not putting it into action, it's not going to be beneficial. But most importantly, if you're just using AI to just go along with the AI circle jerk, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to take a look at what you're actually doing in your business and how you can actually save time, cut costs, and streamline all of your processes. And that's exactly what I did. For the past 90 days, I sat down and took a look at my business. I took a look at all of the repeated actions that I'm doing, all of the stuff that I hate doing, and I basically built out automations. And even for the employees that I have, it's not like I cut them. I simply just gave them the tools so that they can do their job better. Because the reality is you don't want to be an optimizer. You want to be a maximalist. For all the work that you put out, You want to have a higher output. You don't want to be the guy that's the entrepreneur like, oh, now I barely work because I have all this AI tools. It's like, no, for my 40 hours a week, it's making me 2 times the amount of income versus last year because I have all these AI systems in place. And the reality is once you actually start building AI tools for yourself, whether that's automations, systems, software, you start to realize that majority of these softwares that you're spending your money on are just complete bullshit. And the reason why software is such a tough game is because with the advancement of technology, especially in 2026, there is no longer an advantage to being first. Because most of these softwares back in the day, even a year ago, were extremely hard to build. And their whole moat was that they had developers spending 20 hours, building one specific tool, when now you can build all this shit within 30 minutes. And the reality is you can replace half of your tech stack because it's simply just a Claude or ChatGPT wrapper. And the reality is we saw that the moat of being first is no longer a thing. And we saw this directly with OpenClaw because millions of people, they bought a fucking Mac Mini because they thought this was so revolutionary. And then Claude simply just built Claude Code 2 weeks later. And not only is it a lot cheaper because you don't have to have a Mac Mini, but there's better security, and also it just works a lot better. I've used Claude, I've used OpenClaw, I've used all those extensions, and Claude Code is by far way better, but it wasn't the first. So you're no longer having an advantage being first, but the reality is this just shows you that anything is able to be built, and majority of these softwares being built are just people that are being lazy that want to have the term quote unquote founder in their bio. Software and AI is no longer a tool for people that are smart. Now, literally any single business can build it, and it's so cliche to say, but if you're not using it, you're just going to be broke. Now, by now you're probably wondering, okay, well, which tools are bullshit and yada yada. Look, there's 1,000 of these AI tools out there. Every single person in 2026 is trying to start an AI SaaS, okay? That's just the reality of it. Now, with every single opportunity, you gotta go ahead and take a look at which companies are bullshit. Now, I'd hate to just pick out one, but this is just the easiest example, is, for example, personalization tools, okay? There are so many companies out there. Hey, we'll create you, an auto personalization tool for your outbound. Okay, so let's say you are doing outbound SMS, outbound LinkedIn, outbound cold email. Instead of you writing, hey, I see you're in the HVAC space, we help companies like yours, yada yada, and making it very, very general. You can now go ahead, have it scrape the internet and say, hey, saw you're running same-day installs across 3 locations. Here's a thought. And then boom, give them your pitch. Majority of people for cold email are using a software called Clay. Okay, Clay is great. But the reality is Clay can be built by yourself within 30 minutes. And Clay costs $200 every single month. But the reality is I'm not bitching about $200 a month. I am bitching at the fact that all of these business owners are just too lazy to figure out how to build stuff on their own or even hire someone to help them build it internally. And so they're spending $200 here, $200 there. And the reality is you are spending thousands of dollars on these tools, and when you could literally just spend 30 minutes building on your own. It's that simple. And obviously, for the past 10 minutes, I've been shitting on a lot of these softwares. The reality is there are softwares that you need to keep, okay? You can go ahead and replace every single software. But, for example, your CRM, if you're using a Go High Level or a Close or a HubSpot, unless you're spending, exorbitant amounts of money, like I'm talking like 5 figures worth on your CRM alone, you probably don't need to go ahead and build it out. Because the reality is those are not just ChatGPT or Claude wrappers. Those are real softwares with hundreds of tools. With Go High Level, you can build funnels. You can call your leads. You can build AI tools in there. You have a calendar. There's hundreds of different tools within Go High Level that make it a real software. But something like a Clay, to where it's simply just a personalization tool, very, very easy to replicate if you're building it in Claude Code. So don't go ahead and go down the rabbit hole of getting rid of every single thing. But I just want to let you know that about 75% of the software tools are bullshit. And when I get that number, it's literally from me taking a look at what software that I'm currently paying for right now. And 3 out of 4 of them are literally just a ChatGPT wrapper. And I've talked to a bunch of my other business owner friends and clients of mine, and they felt the same way. And that's where all I've simply been doing, spending the last 90 days honing in on how to actually build these tools. And Claude Code and Codex and all these tools are getting so good that what was even hard to build even a month ago is way easier now. Like, there was some tools that I was building out a month ago that weren't even that crazy, and I was getting pushback from Claude, or I'd have to do some research on how to get around some restrictions. But now I'm building it. It's only 30 days later. It's like, damn, this shit is way more complicated than I'm building, but it's way easier. So that's just the optimism of AI, is that these models are getting so good that you can build infrastructure that would take a developer weeks to build, maybe even 5 years ago. But today, you can be, a schmuck like me in technology and go ahead and build it out your own. Okay, so if you're a business owner and you have absolutely no clue on where to start with AI, there's so many business owners that they're fucking scrolling reels or watching TikTok videos or watching YouTube videos. Here are my 5 best AI tools. And it's really hard to figure out what actually works. Simply just work backwards. Write down every single task. Who does the task, how many hours a week it eats, and what it actually costs. Okay? Break down chunk by chunk. If you have somebody, for example, writing out cold email, okay, there are 3 different parts about cold email. Building the infrastructure, doing list scraping, writing out the copy. Chunk it down so granular so you can take a look at what you can actually build automations on. Now, here's the caveat. You want to do the same thing with your subscriptions. You want to take a look at all the subscriptions that you currently are buying, how much time it takes to actually uphold some of these subscriptions, because some of them you actually have to work inside the platforms. And most importantly, how much you're spending, okay? Step 2, you want to go ahead and circle the repetitive tasks. And from there, whichever task you're spending the most amount of time on, point to AI first. Very, very simple. Step 3 is you want to pick one task and one tool. It's very, very easy to go back and forth and say, oh, well, Claude made this update. Now I'm gonna use Claude. Or, oh, now ChatGPT has this new model. I'm gonna go ahead and use it. The reality is it's a never-ending game. You gotta pick one task and one tool and just build your tools on that one platform. You can use maybe 1 or 2 different platforms, like Perplexity for researching, yada, yada. But the reality is there are so many guys that they go up and they make these fucking dumbass videos like, I use Claude for this, I use ChatGPT for this, Gemini for this, Higgsfield for this, fucking Perplexity for this. It's like, dude, you don't need 10 tools. You probably only need 1 or 2. For me, I literally just only use Claude. But the reality is the less complexity you have, the better. Because all these tools, the reality is they do it just as well, okay? Now, last step is, look, some of these tools that you're going to build out are going to be a little bit more complicated. If you as a business owner don't have time to sit down outside of your 30 minutes a day research, you can just go ahead and hire an AI operator. Not to say you do not need to hire a $10K a month developer. The whole model is completely done. You don't need to pay an agency. You don't need to pay a developer that went to Stanford. You can simply pay an AI operator. There are a handful of VAs right now that you can go on Fiverr, found on Facebook, that are in India, Pakistan, or the Philippines that understand how to build systems in your business, you can pay them $200 a month, and these guys can just replace either the time you were going to spend coding or how much you would spend on your subscriptions or developer to build. And look, there's an influx on these AI agencies and AI developers. I understand all these guys are simply doing is they are just taking advantage of the market. Cool. There's no problem with taking advantage of trends in business. But the biggest issue with this is when you have AI agency business owners going on social media, posting content saying, here's how I built this automation in 5 minutes that I charge my client $10K a month on. Because number one, you are completely retarded for leaking that. Because if somebody figures out that you spent 5 minutes building an automation, why the fuck would they give you $10K? But also, most importantly, it sounds a little disingenuous when in reality, you should simply just build automations within your own business and sell a different product. Okay? So that's it. Really all you need to do as a business owner, if you have no clue about AI, chunk down your days as far as what you're doing personally, what your employees are doing, and spend 30 minutes a day in figuring out how you can actually optimize it. But the biggest thing is don't go out on a frenzy and cancel every single subscription. Some of these are actually worth it. Like you don't want to go out and build a Go High level replacement that's going to take a couple weeks to build out. You really don't need to do that. But for something like personalization or scheduling, you can build that internally. And yeah, it's much, much easier. But the reality is so many people are fear-mongering around AI saying, oh, here's how I replace all of my employees with AI. My whole goal is you don't need to replace people. You don't need to take people's income away. You can simply just provide them the tools so that they can produce more. For example, if you have a CMO, you can simply provide optimizations, automations, and tools so that he can get a higher ROAS. But you don't need to completely wipe out people. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have a handful of these automations that you're going to go ahead and build. And these automations still are going to need humans to manage it. Okay? So this is how you go from absolutely zero understanding of AI to being completely competent and being at my level to where you can build all these tools out internally, not only better than the subscriptions that you're using, but also save that couple $1,000s a month that you're spending and put it towards something a lot useful like ad spend or marketing or something like that. So if you like these videos, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.